This video is going to go over Part C of the Google Sheet activity, Spreadsheets and Graphs. What we're going to be doing is looking at some more examples of filtering, and maybe a little bit more advanced because we're going to be filtering multiple items. So sometimes you may want to have more than one filter at the same time. So in this case, you will want to select multiple columns to be filtered. So the easiest thing to do is to click on the little rectangle that is under the f of x symbol to the left of the A and above the 1. Right there. Then what we're going to do is click the filter icon, not the arrow, but the icon, and you're going to click it. And what that's going to do is put the filter arrows onto each column. So in this set of data, we're going to be analyzing a sample of 1,000 students from 4 different countries. And we're going to use filtering to make graphs in order to answer the questions. So question 37, we're going to rename sheet 3 to be Census at School 1. Census at School was the website that collected this data. So the first question is, what is the favorite physical activity of Canadian students? You're going to filter the country so that it only contains Canada, because we want to know Canadian students. So click on the filter arrows for Canada, or for country, and there's a couple of ways you can do it. There's not a lot of countries there, so you can just uncheck everything except for Canada. Alternately, you could just select clear and then select Canada. Or you could go to filter by condition and say text contains Canada and then press OK. And now we only have the data where the country is Canada. Then to find out the favorite physical activity, we're going to make a chart of favorite physical activity. Right here, and insert chart. And it pops up as a line graph. Normally you'd want a bar graph to compare things. A line graph would show how things change over time. So if you were actually presenting this data, you would want a bar graph, which in Sheets is called column. And you can see that the highest bar is football, soccer, right here. So that would be Canada's most favorite physical activity. What you're going to have to do is to save this graph into a new sheet, or else when you start new filters, it will remove this graph. So open up a new sheet by clicking the plus symbol down here in the left corner, add sheet, and we're going to name it charts. Now you're going to paste your chart into that sheet, select it, Control or Command C, and then in Charts, Control or Command V to paste it in there. And you can answer the favorite sport is football, soccer. Back in the Census at School, you can now delete this chart here. And one thing that a lot of people forget to do before they move on to the next question is to clear that filter. So they'll move on here and start filtering the next thing, not realizing that you're still filtered for only Canada. So we have to remove that filter. In the previous part, I talked about using the back arrow, the undo, to get rid of the filter. The problem with that is that the chart that you just put here would then get removed. The easier thing to do would be to clear the filter before moving on by clicking that corner rectangle again and clicking the filter button twice. Once to turn filtering off, removing the country filter, and then again to turn filtering back on to get those filter arrows. Now you're ready to move to the next question. What country has the most students that travel at least 60 minutes to get to school? The first thing we're going to do is filter travel time to be at least 60 minutes, greater than or equal to 60 minutes. Now clicking the arrows wouldn't be the best in this case because there's a lot of arrows, there's a lot of values that are greater than or equal to 60. So filter by condition. The condition is going to be greater than or equal to, and it's going to be 60. And now we're only looking at data where the travel time is at least 60. Now we want to find out which country has the most students. So make a chart of the countries. Again, it's going to pop up with a line graph. You can tell by the line graph that it's going to be Australia, but when comparing things, you should be making a bar graph, which is called column. And we're not going to worry about formatting the graph because we're just using the graph to answer questions. We're not going to be presenting this graph anywhere. So the country that has the most students that travel at least 60 minutes is Australia. So you can copy and paste that into the next sheet, your charts sheet, and don't overlap your sheets, and then you can answer Australia. Another thing that I've noticed that people have done is they make the chart, but they actually forget to answer the question. I know the answers are here that you can check, but on an assignment, don't forget to actually answer the question. So here, get rid of the chart, click on the corner rectangle, and press the filter button twice to start fresh. Question 40. What percent of males are ambidextrous? The first thing we're going to do is filter the gender to only show males. Gender. Probably the easiest way, rather than filtering by condition, is to just uncheck the females. And now we're going to make a chart of the handed. Handed means are they left-handed, right-handed, or ambidextrous. So insert a chart. And when we want to find percents, it says what percent of males are ambidextrous. When we want to find percents, that means we want to make a pie chart. And you can see here the percent of males that are ambidextrous is 7%. So copy, paste it into the charts sheet, and answer the question, 7%. Go back into Census at Schools, delete that chart, click on the rectangle, and clear the filter by clicking it twice. Next question, do females place more importance on conserving water or saving energy? We're going to have to make two graphs for this, one for conserving water and one for saving energy. Start by filtering the gender column to only show females. So under gender, we only want females. You can do filter by condition, or you can just uncheck the males. And we're going to look at both the importance of conserving water and the importance of saving energy. Over here, we've got to find the column that says importance of conserving water. That is column Q. make a chart. And doesn't look like the best chart. Because these numbers are continuous, we're going to make a histogram. Now, that isn't overly meaningful yet. You could change the buckets, but we don't have to because we're just using the chart to answer a question, not to present it. Let's now make a chart of saving energy. So the column that's saving energy is column R. So when you insert a chart, again, make it a histogram. And when you take a look at the two, so saving energy and conserving water, in saving energy, the highest bar here is between 1000 and 1050, and water, the highest bar is between 958 and 1004. So it's a higher importance for saving energy. Now copy and paste both of these graphs into the Charts tab. And don't forget to answer the question so they have a higher importance on energy. Back here, delete the graphs, rectangle, filter twice, and next question. Which age and gender enjoys hockey the most? So we're going to have to do a couple of filterings again. We know that they enjoy hockey the most, so we're going to filter the physical activity, favorite physical activity, to show. We're going to include both hockey, field hockey, and ice hockey, because we don't know what kind of hockey it is. Over in the favorite physical activity, the easiest thing to do would be to clear everything and then now click on both hockey field and hockey ice. Press OK. Now we only have people that like hockey. And we're going to make a chart of gender. And we're going to change that to a column chart. So you can see the gender that prefers hockey is males. And now we want to know the age as well. So under age, we're going to make a chart. And we get a histogram, but the bucket size here is 1.5 years, so we need to go to Customize, Histogram, and change the bucket size to 1. And then you can see here the age is 13. Now the issue here is that this histogram, because we didn't actually filter this to be males, this histogram includes males and females. So if you wanted to know here, we've already figured out that males prefer hockey the most. If you want to see what age of only males, then what you can do is keep the filter on for favorite physical activity, and then under gender, also filter that for males. And the histogram has changed. The answer still becomes 13, but the histogram has changed. So filtering for males may change the answer. It depends on how you interpret the question. Are these two separate questions? Which age and which gender, are they two separate questions? Or are they sort of combined? Same thing, we could have filtered for age first and then figured out if it was males or females. Now, when we go to paste this into the charts sheet, the problem would be is that the gender graph is now just going to show males. So to show that males are actually higher than females, what we'd have to do is undo to get that graph back. Or what's probably the easier idea is to paste that graph before you do the second filter over here. So you don't have to do the undo button. So this will show you that it's males. And then this was the graph of ages before we filtered males. And you can type in it was 13 years. That concludes part C, and part D just we'll go over how to answer these questions with filtering where you are not making graphs, different ways to filter.